Hey, what's up everybody? Todd and Jake here from ESOTERIC. And since Jake is relatively new to the crowd, not new to the family here, but new to officially the team, we figured we would have a car washing session, a little class on ESOTERIC how to do it. And what better example of a car, no pressure.
Trial by fire, Black Series.
Start you out with a Black Series, sitting out in the sunshine when we're going to wash it. But the nice thing is about it, we've got our CR Spotless DI system.
Yep.
So we can wash it out here in the sun.
This is also wrapped and coated, right?
Wrapped and coated, the wheels are coated, so with it, we won't have as much work we're gonna do. It also has carbon ceramics for brakes. We're not gonna need to use actual wheel cleaner on this one. A lot of the stuff will just come off with a pressure washer, but we'll foam it and wash that. But just want to take you through the process of how we do this to, for a safe, scratch-free wash. We've got all our buckets, we've got our wheel buckets, we've got our rinse and wash buckets with our ESOTERIC sponges that we're going to use on it. So with that,
I mean, it's a Black Series, but I'm in good hands. I got good products. I got some training wheels still. We got the film, we got the ceramic coating.
Yeah, exactly. And didn't you just do something else to this car?
Yeah, we just threw a Super Sprint exhaust on it. Opened it up a little bit.
All right.
It's got the flat plane crank. I think 720 horsepower, 4-liter V8.
Yeah, car like this should have the sound go along with the look. So
absolutely.
Let's get it looking better for the customer. Get it delivered back to his house. So first things first, when I'm taking a look at a car, getting ready to wash it, I want to see if I need to pre-rinse it or pre-soak it. This one looks like it's been driven in the rain. Here in Ohio in March, it's been a little bit sloppy so far. So I'll probably want to do a pre-rinse on this. But before I even do that, I'll go with the wheels. And what we can do, like I said, instead of using an actual wheel wash, we will just foam it. Okay. So if you want to grab the foam gun, we'll foam the wheels. I'd probably do 2 at a time. That way it doesn't all fall off the other side by the time we get there.
These are awesome, by the way. MTM Hydro PF22.
Yeah,
I'm learning.
Yeah,
they're a lot of fun to use.
Yeah,
if for nothing else. All right. That just makes it good. That, and then I'm adjusting it wrong. That's the spray, and then I need vertical is what I want. How do I do that?
Well, you got to work with it and learn.
Oh, okay.
Spray it against. There we go.
There we go. All right. So just coat both wheels.
Yep. Just fully coat the wheel. Get in there.
Like that?
Yep.
All right.
We'll get the other one.
Your coatings are already rejected.
Yeah, Jake, if you take a look there, see how the foam is not sitting on it? That's the coatings on the wheel that's rejecting it. So you know right off the bat that it's been coated. So you're going to get that kind of look. So once I go in here, some people do the tires first, some people do the wheels first. It doesn't really matter. I usually like doing the wheels itself. And I'm going to need a variety of tools to get in here because you got these deep, wells in here. They look really cool, but a little bit challenging when it comes to clean. So I'm just going to start off. I'm going to get inside the barrels here and I'm going to make sure I move it back and forth so I get behind these spokes as good as I can. Now with this, you've got
calipers,
huge calipers right up in there. So what you're going to have to do with a car like this, a lot of times you'll have to move it to expose a little bit more of the wheel. Otherwise, you're going to have a tough time getting all the way back in there. Most cars, you don't have that to worry about. But when you've got a sports car like this with such aggressive brakes, that's just something you're going to have to expect. And when you're working with this brush here, you notice how it's spraying back all over you.
Yep.
That's just part of it. That's why we wear black shirts and our shop shoes as I'm doing it. Now, if you want to be really anal about it, you can go in, rinse it before you put it back in your bucket before you move on to the next one. But we'll try to be kind of quick here as we're going through. And what I've got is I've got our regular wash sponge that we'll cut in half. That way we're never going to mix up wheel sponges with the ones that we touch on the surface. We never want to mix that because you get really nasty stuff in here. You don't want to do the paint with it. So I'll just get in You know, take my time, go literally spoke to spoke, work it. And like I said, since these are coated, there's not a whole lot of effort that you have to put to get everything off of the surface.
Yeah, those like I-beam spokes definitely.
Yep.
Making your job a little harder.
Yeah, they take a little bit more effort. And if it was really dirty, I'd probably stop and I would rinse this sponge out 2 or 3 times as I'm going around the wheel. But these aren't very dirty. And what you can also use too is you can use these to get the faces of the calipers themselves. Get that as much as I can. Let's see what other tools we have in our bucket. That's what I'm looking for. Lug nut brush. So I'll get in there, get these lug nut areas really good. And then also around the valve stem, it's hard to get in there. And depending on the configuration of the wheels or the brakes, you can go in, get some of these tighter areas with this as well. All right, now we've got that done, we can do the tires. And you know what we want to do for that, we're going to use our APC tire cleaner.
I hear that's the Chuck Norris of all-purpose cleaning.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday on a video as well. Stuff is really awesome.
It works on everything.
Yeah. So I want to get a good layer of it on there. Take my wheel brush. Usually I'm going to let this sit for a minute just to give a chance to break everything down, and then go in and just work it really well. You know, one of the mistakes people make is they keep trying to load on tire dressing, and it gets patchy looking, doesn't look that great. You need to go in and completely strip that stuff off from time to time.
I actually have a friend who went through the drive-through car wash a lot. It definitely wasn't me. It was a friend.
Yeah, it was a friend. Okay.
And we might have been washing that car today, and just Zach does a wipe on the tires with the applicator sponge, and it's just pure black caked on. So that stuff's building layer and layer of just this tar-like substance.
Exactly. So depending on how much of a hurry you're in or what you're trying to accomplish, you can stop and rinse that wheel, move on to the next one. If I've got a product that I'm using on the tire or a heavier wheel cleaner, I'll typically go in, rinse that off before moving on to the next one.
In this case, we're pretty good. I can probably just jump on the back.
All right,
I'll go apply what you've just told me on the rear, see how I can do.
All right, we'll test. We're
going to start with our brush and get the barrel.
Yep.
I got the smaller brakes in the back, so my job's a little bit easier. And I want to angle to get behind all the spokes so I don't have strips. And I want to be sure to coat myself with the spray when I pull it back out.
Yeah, you want little black droplets everywhere.
Oh, yes. We don't even have any wheel clear on this one, so I'm really being spoiled, honestly. And we're lucky to have a nice 70-degree day here in early mid-March in Ohio.
Yeah, which is not very common for us to be
so I'm okay with a little backlash on the spray there. Yeah, I can get in between the caliper and the wheel easy on this one. Okay, after that, you went to the sponge?
Yep.
Okay. While I get in, just start at the top.
Yeah, it's good to start at the top or start at the valve stem, work your way around. Otherwise, you'll forget where you started.
If you have a complicated enough wheel, you might forget anyways by the time you get all the way around.
Well, we can test your skills on the new wheels on my car.
On the Voss.
They're a little bit more intricate.
Yeah, those are wild. They were also ceramic coated too, so a little bit of training wheels on that make it a little easier for me.
That just happens to be on a rare Mercedes that doesn't produce a lot of brake dust. Although apparently it chews up the rotors pretty quickly.
Oh yes. 4,000 miles?
4,000 miles.
All new rotors.
But it was under warranty, so we're good.
And then we're gonna
get your lugs.
Maybe a little caliper action in the TPMS?
Yep.
All right. And then we want
a little
APC.
tire cleaner. And, yep.
A little Chuck Norris action. And tire brush. These tires are wild too. What's this called with this like felt-like finish?
You know, I can't remember. I just know that
Michelin does it. What's that called, Zach? We were just talking about it.
Premium touch.
Premium touch sidewalls. Awesome feature.
This is a great place for more stuff to stick. Okay, now we're ready to rinse everything off. Reach around to the front, I think so. I usually get up a little bit closer against the tires, make sure everything's rinsed off of it really well. Okay. Now we're ready to go to the other side. We'll switch back over to the foam cannon, and you know, depending on the car and on the wheel, I said with this one we didn't use wheel cleaner because the carbon ceramic brakes. But if it's been a while, what I'll do is I'll hit it with the wheel cleaner, clean everything up, rinse everything off, then I'll hit it with foam.
Okay.
You know, at the very least, you know, just let it dwell on there for a while and rinse it.
Just give it more chances for all the debris to get washed off. Yeah,
exactly. Because, you know, sometimes these wheels, especially on some of the German cars, it just builds up so much stuff in there. You know, you want to clean everything out really well. So I'll usually double up on most cars that are a little needy.
Okay.
Like mine, that's typically sits for a while before it gets cleaned up.
Hey, there it is, by the way. Big old Vossens on it. Brand new brakes.
I just need to get that lowering module installed. And
yep. That's going to get a seat lowering module installed as soon as it arrives. Be able to drop it all the way down and tuck those wheels all the way up in the wheel wells.
So far, you're getting a passing grade, but you still have 2 more wheels to go.
Yeah, you never know.
We'll see if the employment...
There's still a chance to dock my pay.
Yeah, but dock your pay. No, I was wondering if you're going to make it, you know, employment through the rest of the week.
Oh, okay, all right.
So,
all right, we're on that level. All right.
You know, I don't know if you ever heard the story, but when Dan first started doing a lot of paint protection film and stuff for us, we built up the first project car here at Esoteric. It was my C7 Z06, and we were going out to lunch while we were working on it, stopped at Wendy's, and they had a now hiring sign up in there. And I told Dan, I said, well, if you don't get the PPF right, Wendy's is hiring.
There you go.
So
no pressure.
Yeah. So
and I'm just simply washing a car. I'm not even putting film on
here.
All right. I'm up for a challenge. Until I'm unemployed, then we'll see if I change my tune.
Yeah, when you're dealing with those satin black wheels like this one right here, I mean, it's really important to do ceramic coating on them, because what happens is dirt and stuff will actually start getting embedded into that porous
It's like a rougher finish.
Yeah, and you get a staining that goes on that you're just not going to be able to get out. So any wheel really could use coating, but when you're talking about the satin black ones, those are the worst. Those are the ones you definitely want to make sure.
And when you coat it, you can coat that and it won't change the finish?
No, the only thing it's going to do is add like a deepening or richening finish. It's not going to turn them glossy.
I think I just heard you tell a story about buying a set of Ferrari wheels over that.
Yeah, I did.
Perception. The color was always there, but once they were coated, you could see it.
Yeah. If you want to, if anybody watching this wants to learn more about that, just go the Real Talk with Mike Burke. I just did a podcast with him last week, and we went over that story.
It's a good one. That's where I heard it.
Yeah. Fun story, expensive story.
But you got a set of wheels out of it.
Well, unfortunately, I couldn't put them on my car. I don't have a Ferrari, so I couldn't put them on my car. But,
good stuff. And now we want APC.
You know, the other part that I didn't bring up beforehand is when we get into, you know, washing the car, really doing anything with the car. One of the big things we want to make sure is we don't want to be wearing Chuck Norris belt buckles, where you can accidentally bump up against the car, scratch something, get rid of watches. You just want to reduce the risk.
Those wheels hold a lot of water in the top there.
Yeah, wheels like that's definitely when you want to have something like a Metrovac blower, because all that water hangs out in that area. You know, just go back in afterwards, blow everything out of it. It just makes the process a lot easier.
Yeah, it is kind of wild too. So coming from the non-detailing world, car world, but just not getting down the detailing rabbit hole. Even just, I think I just washed my car earlier today. I think it's the third time I've used one of these barrel brushes on it. And it was already such a huge difference in just maintaining cleanliness rather than trying to get months or years of grime out. And so it's, you're finding a new appreciation for keeping things clean.
Yeah, for as little as those things cost too, it just makes the whole process a lot easier, particularly when you've got, you know, deep wheels like these right here. Otherwise, you're just not going to get back in there and get them clean.
It's getting all the way in there. Sure beats taking the wheels off.
If you haven't been washing by hand, Jake, what have you been doing?
So, if you couldn't hear Zach, he's asking how I wash my wheels. My friend, I have to make an admission of guilt here. I was the guy going through the drive-through car wash every day. Maybe not every day, but a couple times a week. The old Golf. Good thing it's got thick paint on it.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to polish that out a little bit.
Well, that'll be a video we're going to do soon enough. Teach you how to polish the car, and then when you find out how much effort it is, you'll realize why we want to take such good care of the paint, so you don't have to do that on a regular basis.
Well, that's the other thing too that I've realized is if I go through the drive-through car wash, I can do that a couple times a week, or you just get it in your mind that anytime your car is dirty, you can go through there. But then if I wash my car by hand with good products, the amount you need to wash your car is so much less because nothing sticks to it. So it's I mean, it really is a big difference. I was the kid growing up where you go grab the mop bucket and some Dawn dish soap and so whatever rags are in the cupboard and go wash your car.
Well, mine in the early days, I knew I liked things clean. I didn't necessarily know how to do it, but I had a bucket, I had dishwashing liquid. My wash rags were the former kitchen towels.
Yes.
And my drying towels were the former bath towels. My stuff was clean.
Yeah, I heard you on the podcast. It was clean, but it was scratched.
It was scratched up.
Yeah.
No question. And back in those days, about all you really had is, man, what's that shiny, glossy stuff that people put all over tires and dashboards?
Armor All.
Armor All, yeah. That's the only thing I had was Armor All. Man, I'd have that dashboard so shiny.
Good old thick layer of oil on it.
You couldn't see anything. The reflections on the inside of the window were so bad.
Did you guys ever put that stuff on floor mats or pedals?
You slide right out?
No, I made an even bigger mistake than that. So the first motorcycle I owned, I used that on the seat. I used it on the seat, and it was a 2-stroke. So like once you would really get into it, it pulled super hard. I almost fell completely off the back of the bike the first time I went out and hit it because I slid on the seat so bad. And so I learned that was a one-time deal.
Yep.
Todd, is this APC safe on satin wheels like this? Are there staining issues with tire tenures?
Some product. This is fine. We have used some product. I remember at the shop we were testing somebody else's product, and one of the guys put it on the wheels of my Camaro, and it stained the wheels. I had to go have the wheels repinted. So you want to be really careful what kind of stuff that you're using to clean tires. You just have to be careful. Our stuff is safe for it, but doesn't mean everything out there is going to be. Good.
All right.
All right, we're good there.
Off to the next step.
Yeah, so now what I want to do is I want to do a pre-rinse on the entire car. I'll kind of get the buckets ready while you're doing that. You know, top-down surfaces, just to try to get anything heavy that might be on the car off before we go into washing it.
Okay.
So if you want to do a quick pre-rinse on it.
That's something else I just recently learned. When you're rinsing the car, pre-rinse, you're not just getting it wet. That was my idea. You're actually taking step one to get as much dirt off the car, start at the top, work your way down. These are things I'm learning, and it actually makes a difference.
Well, that and the other thing too, it's like, you know, your lower parts of the car is going to have so much stuff built up. So I'll spend quite a bit of time down there spraying up underneath, just to make sure. But you want to be careful too. This thing is fully wrapped, so we don't want to get the pressure washer too close to the surface because you can peel up the wrap, and that's not going to be a warranty kind of item.
Okay. No pressure.
No pressure.
No.
Yeah, I mean, look how great the water repellency is on that.
Oh, it's awesome.
Even when it's covered with dirt. And that's just showing you that stuff doesn't want to stick to it. So the cleanup process becomes much, much easier. All right, pre-rinsed, ready to go. We'll foam it here in just a second. Quick question on your buckets here. Which one do you have designated as your wash bucket? Which one's your rinse bucket?
Okay, this is pretty easy because the color, the alliteration, everything goes together. Red is rinse, white is wash.
Yeah, I came up with that 20 years ago. Glad you're still.
It works. I had to think about it. The pressure's on.
Well, what we'll do here, this one needs a little bit more. So once we foam it, we can just put the foam cannon right down into the wash bucket. That'll add a little bit more.
Really satisfying too.
Yeah, exactly. Watch that. Zach and I we did some video with that in slow motion, and I could watch that over and over. It's just super cool. Okay, let's get a good coating.
And I can do the whole car at once.
Yes. Okay. What shampoo are we using in there?
We are using our pH neutral shampoo, and it smells amazing.
Do you know why we use a pH neutral shampoo versus
I do not.
others out there? Well, because with a fresh coating on there and the maintenance products that we put on top of it, we don't want to use anything that can prematurely strip that stuff off.
Okay.
So it's just a really gentle shampoo that we're using. You can use that in the bucket by itself. It's great for our foam cannons as well. You get nice thick suds, sticks to the surface.
It's going to do a majority of everything, and it's safe.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
That's something I've appreciated learning this. None of these products, all the Esoteric line, it's really user friendly. So you guys teaching me and washing different cars, I haven't had a moment yet where it's like, hey, make sure you don't do this, because if that wheel cleaner's on too long, it's going to etch the wheel. Anything like that. It's all very user friendly stuff. Good for a beginner like me.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been about that for many, many years. We want stuff in the shop that's really easy to use. It doesn't matter who's going to jump on it. They're not going to have any kind of problems with it, and that's what went into the development of that. Okay, let's make pretty foam.
Yeah, time for the fun part. It's beating right up too on here, just like the wheels. More. There we go. I'm adjusting on the fly. Getting some more suds.
Yeah, there it's going on.
Are we worried about doing the wheels again? Or?
No, because we'll just rinse that off.
I've also seen that this goes a long way. The other day we were washing our cars, and we washed half the UPS truck while I was here.
Yes, I saw
Went
that
ahead and
video.
sprayed it down with the soap.
I'm sure he appreciated that.
He did. He did. Like it?
Let's put more in the bucket over here. You want to get up underneath here just a little bit too?
You may do that down the sides as well, or are we good?
It never hurts.
Okay.
Yeah, up underneath the wing.
Too. Look at that. It clings right to it. That's pretty cool.
Well, you notice when you had to make the adjustment on it to get a little bit thicker, because it's coated, everything wanted to fall off. So you had to go with a little bit of heavier concentration.
Yeah, these are sweet because you can do the dilution, you can do the fan pattern and the vertical horizontal.
Yep. All right, let's load up this bucket over here with a little foam, and we'll get started with this.
I'll try not to get the lens.
All right, now when we're doing it, same thing. I'm going to do top surfaces first, work our way down. We want to make sure and rinse out our wash media regularly. I mean, I'll do like half a roof, rinse it out, half a hood.
And you have grit guards in the bottom that you can scrub this.
Yeah, grit guards in the bottom, and I'm going to show you something on that because a lot of people make mistake on how they use the grit guards. But you know, I'll start off. I'm rubbing this, physically rubbing this against the grit guard on the bottom. Okay. Rubbing this surface on it. That helps release anything down to the bottom of the bucket. A lot of times I see guys just kind of dipping it in. That's not doing anything. You need to get...
You're trying to get all the aggregate and stuff out of this and in the bottom.
Exactly, because otherwise you're just reintroducing it to the car, and that's where all the swirls and scratches come from.
So nice scrub on the grit guard, break things free, and then swish it around the water, good to go.
Yep. All right. So I will just... I'll keep things going in straight lines. And the other thing that you can do, once I get this area up here done, I'm not as worried about it on the windshield, so I'll just go straight to the glass. I don't have to stop.
More resilient.
Yeah, I don't have to stop and rinse everything out.
You're building some efficiency doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Saving trips to the bucket.
Exactly.
Saving trips to the bucket.
Exactly. You know, and if it's not that dirty of a car, I'm not too worried about it. If it's something that's really filthy, I would probably go ahead and rinse it out.
Every trip to the bucket is less of a chance you're going to transfer dirt to some other area.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm gonna come in here, agitate it against the bottom a grit guard, come back into my wash bucket, do the same thing, agitate it. That is cold. Cold water.
Just in case somebody doesn't know what that is, let me see if I can get one of these out, because I don't know that I would have known. So you got that guy in the bottom of the bucket, and then when you scrub your sponge on here, all the debris can fall below that and you never touch it.
And the grit guard, did you know, designed and manufactured in the state of Ohio?
We got some good stuff going on here.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now I'll move to the hood. Same thing. I want to keep things in straight lines. If this were dirtier, I may stop every quarter and rinse out my wash media. This one's not too bad. And we're not using pressure here. Just a really light touch. I want to be thorough, get in all the little cracks and crevices, but I don't need to, you know, apply a lot of pressure to it.
Yeah, and you can feel that this sponge is practically sliding across the surface.
Yep.
It's very slick.
And then same thing, I'll make my way to the back. This great big old monster wing. I'll just start up at the top here. You know, carbon fiber, although this is fully wrapped. Basically, I tell people to treat carbon fiber no different than a painted surface, because that's all it is. It's clear coat on top of it. It can scratch just like paint, get swirls. You know, you coat it just like paint, you polish it just like paint. It's not some indestructible force.
So now I know we have our CI Spotless DI filtration system.
Yep.
Our soap, we're in direct sunlight right now, not ideal conditions. How good is it to just let stuff kind of sit? I know we're working quickly, but what kind of time frame do you have on that?
Well, it really depends on the temperatures outside. You know, right now it's not bad. The surface temperature isn't hot, but we get into the summer, I'm gonna break this down a little bit more, and I'm gonna stop and rinse things off and you know, reapply soap and stuff as I go. I don't want it to dry on the surface. So if we're out here and it's July and it's really hot, the surface is hot to touch, yeah, I'm gonna try to avoid doing that. But if I have to, I'm gonna be as quick as I can about it.
So basically it's a good idea, just the hotter it is or the sunnier it is, just break into smaller sections and then rinse.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just, you know, once again, try to be quick with it. If, you know, these black cars, I've done surface temperature measurements on them, and black car in the summer, that surface could be 150, 160 degrees. So it's going to make, you know, your water and your soap and everything else dry up really quickly. You can get water spots very quickly. So you just want to be careful. Now, down here on this side, I worked my way down, and I know this is dirtier down in this area.
Yep.
I came down in here. I don't want to take this and put it back over here, you know, because I know I've had dirt come up through here.
Okay.
So I'm going to rinse it out a little bit more frequently, especially as I'm doing these lower spots right here, because you don't want to, you know, hit a lower spot and then go reintroduce it somewhere higher. If it's super dirty, I might even have a separate wash media, maybe a mitt or something, that I do those lower areas.
And then don't touch anything above that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so I've got my side down, kind of the top half-ish.
Yep.
So now I'd be safe to go ahead and start doing the lower, dirtier part, but not go back up.
Yeah, why don't you work on the same side as me, kind of back and work your way forward. Okay.
Todd, would you treat this any differently if it weren't wrapped versus satin wrap versus a gloss wrap versus a vinyl wrap?
Yeah, good question. Would I treat it any differently depending on the finish or whatever? Yeah, I mean, in some sense, yeah, I would. If this was just a gloss black, fully polished car, I'm going to be the most careful as I possibly can, because it's going to hide or it's going to show anything and everything. When I have it wrapped in gloss, I don't have to be as careful. I'm still being careful. And then when it's wrapped in satin, you can get away with even more, stretch it out a little bit more before you go and rinse it out. I mean, the best way is just to use best practices all the time. But, you know, we want to talk about reality here. We want to talk about how much time people have to work on it, what they're dealing with. But for me, if I'm working on my wrapped car, I'm going to be a little bit quicker with the entire process. You know, you have a black Porsche, any other soft black car that's all polished up and coated. All it takes is one little bit of something to get in there to destroy a whole bunch of work. So you give me this thing in gloss black that's not wrapped, I'm going to do maybe half a door, rinse it out.
Okay.
You know, reapply half a door, rinse it out.
Just insurance.
Exactly. It only takes a little bit more time, and it saves you potentially a lot of headache in the end. So I think we need some more soap and water in there, right?
Yep.
You know, same thing on the back here. The back of the car is going to be one of the dirtiest areas that you have. You know, and this being carbon fiber and super nice finish, I want to do the same thing. I want to break this up into smaller parts. I don't want to do this whole area and then stop and rinse out my wash mitt and go on to the next section. There's so much stuff built up here. I want to take a little bit more time. I want to make sure it's done right. And I want to avoid inducing any kind of scratching or marring on the surface. And one thing people make a mistake of when you talk about scratching a car, they think like a nail on the surface kind of scratch.
Okay.
No, we're talking about micro scratches. And all you got to do is take a look at a black car in the sunshine that hasn't been polished and you see all the spider webs and stuff. That's just thousands of micro scratches.
And that probably breeds more grip for debris, and then it just gets worse and worse.
It just worse and worse and worse. You know, paint's not supposed to look like that. However, most cars that are out there, they do look like that.
Yeah, I think I've seen some pictures recently of you guys did a car that was supposed to be black. It literally looked gray.
Yeah.
And then you guys touched it all up.
Yep. I think that might have been that old Chrysler, was it, Zach? That class car that, you know, the guy had 160,000 miles on it, and he ran it through the automatic car wash weekly.
Who would do that? That's ridiculous.
And it was literally, you saw it. It was gray. And then he came in looking for some kind of, you know, paint correction or polishing. I went out, I looked at his car, and
he needed a miracle.
It literally looked like the car had been sanded. And I said, well, I can do a quick polish on it, you know, make it look pretty decent for, say, $750. Or if you want it looking like new again, it'll be free. Be like, what in the world are you talking to? So I want to use that as a class car, because if you can teach somebody how to do correction on that level, they can do anything. And it was a great exercise for the students, for the owner of the car, because he just didn't realize over time how bad the finish got to look.
Quick question.
Yep.
While we're in the back, how would you approach exhaust tips in this process?
I would do that separate.
Okay.
Once I'm done, I'll go in and work those, you know, by hand.
Separate pieces and everything.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Usually the best way.
Okay.
Now, how far over here have you gotten? Or?
I got everything except like the bottom, the really dirty spot.
Okay. Well, I'll let you knock that out.
On the grip.
Have you done anything on the front bumper yet?
I did like the kind of the top 2/3, top half.
Okay.
Do the bottom.
On the front bumper, usually what I like to do, I save the front bumper till last.
Okay.
Reason being is because, especially in the summer, you get a bunch of bugs on there. So that whole time, it's just soaking and softening everything up. So if I go and wash it last, I have a better chance of getting all that stuff removed from the surface.
And then you're not putting it on anything else.
Yep.
Okay.
Integrated an insect remover in that.
Yeah, you know what I might do with that one, I'm still going to let it soak the whole time. You know, with some insect removers, you just got to be careful. It's pretty harsh stuff. But I would probably go to it last, then spray the insect cleaner on it, let it set for a couple minutes, and go in and wash it. It's not going to hurt anything if it's, you know, there with the soap that's already on the surface. That way I'm just being, I like to be a little bit more conservative in those cases. I've seen old film where you put, you know, some kind of cleaner on it like that, and it gets really cloudy really quick. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, when you've seen the worst of the worst, you know, you're already way more cautious, I'd imagine.
Yep.
A little bit of prevention is going to go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we still got some.
Yep,
left
I just
to do
did
here.
basically up here.
Okay, since it's lower surfaces and I'm an old guy with a bad back, I'll let you hit those lower areas.
All right.
You know, for the longest time, the guys in the shop, they had a name for me. Top Surfaces Todd. Because when I do polishing and stuff, I'd have the younger guys do all the lower areas, and I'd just work on the stuff that's right up to my level, so it didn't hurt every time.
Yes. Well, thankfully, we're coming out of winter, so we don't really have any bugs to deal with, but
Yeah.
get her touched up.
Thank you.
Show off those sweet water bottles.
Yeah. The best water you will find. Esoteric branded water bottles.
Where
Here
can they get these?
they can come here to Esoteric, and they want to stop by and just look around. They want to stop by some products in our showroom. We've got a nice cold bottle of water for
There
you
you go.
while you're here.
I don't get mine till I'm done, though, I think. I got more work to do.
I've paid my dues.
We'll evaluate the work first, then we'll
Yeah.
see if you're worthy of the bottle.
This is kind of like a Mr. Miyagi situation.
Uh-huh.
We're not to wax yet. We're
Right,
not doing wax,
right.
you know, just soap on, soap off.
See, I can look up at the surface. I can see where a lot of stuff has dried on this. But once again, it's not hot in the least bit. I'm not worried about it. And with this kind of shampoo that we're using, it doesn't leave residue.
We have the best
behind.
case scenario, basically.
A lot of stuff that's out there will leave a heavy residue that you got to work quite a bit to get off. But we don't have that worry today.
So just gliding right across that carbon fiber.
And then while you're finishing that, I'll go ahead, take a preemptive strike, and start rinsing.
Okay.
And one thing to do too, you know, when you're taking the lance on and off and you're switching it over to the other one, you know, sometimes some people may take this off and put it on the end. You want to make sure all that stuff is secure before you go pointing it at the car. You know, just make sure you don't have something coming off.
We don't want projectile.
I've seen that happen before, where this goes flying, somebody breaks a windshield or something.
Oh.
You know, just be cautious.
Okay, so while he's rinsing that, Zach, we are in direct sunlight. So we've got a CR Spotless DI filtration system. This is a great setup. This is the DIW model, which is a wall-mounted model. We've got it mounted on our cart here. It's got an internal bypass valve, which is really handy. We can actually just flip this between tap water or filtered water. Right now, we're not super concerned because of the film on this car about water spotting. So we can just turn it over to straight tap water. Our hose is gonna pass straight through this and not use up our filters. In addition to that, when we are using our filters, we have this TDS monitor, and that's gonna measure our parts per million of particulates in the water. That'll let us know exactly when we need to do a filter change. Again, so we're not wasting filters. We can use them up until the particulates start climbing, throw new filters in, good to go. And you can get all that right at the website, esotericcarcare.com. We've got replacement filters. We've got this wall mount set up. We've got a cart set up, so you can just wheel it in and out of your garage. Great tool to have, especially if you got an open wash area where you have to deal with the sun and with heat creating water spots.
Jake, can you give me some slack on the line, please? Jake, give me some slack on the line there, please. Thank you. Is that Chuck Norris approved?
Yeah, I'm just trying to soak all this in like one of our premium sponges, you know what I'm saying? Just get that information.
Well, now that we've got everything rinsed off, first of all, you can see the beading is pretty insane on it. We just worked on this, I don't know, 6 weeks ago or so, full wrap coating everything, so it's in a really good condition. Now, if we use one of our Metrovac blowers right now, a coated car, 90% of all the water is going to come off. And it's nice because you can get water out of areas that you're just not going to get. You don't want to drive down the street and have water going everywhere. But for this video, we will just use our towels. We've got our Geon silk dryer towels. And what I like to do with them, you know, is kind of drag it across the surface. You know, get the majority of stuff that we can.
That one just wants to fall right off of there. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's super
gliding.
Slick. Yeah, it's super slick. And once again, I don't need to put any pressure on this. And for right now, I don't have to worry about getting 100% of the water off, because we're going to go in and do a process afterwards to get anything that might be remaining.
I mean, that's wild. I'm just barely draping this on here and it's almost getting everything.
And these things will soak up a tremendous amount of water. You know, the big thing, just try to keep it away from the tires as you're going over the fenders. And when you're getting in the lower areas, obviously you don't want it dragging across the ground.
Okay.
But what I'll do is I'll kind of like fold it in half like this, so it's not as big and I get more control of it.
Okay.
As I'm working the sides.
And it does have two different sides. We want to use like the fuzzier side, the softer side.
Yeah. That way it's more absorbent. Yeah, this thing is super slick.
I feel like I'm cheating. You know, it was intimidating coming up to the Black Series. This is what you're going to wash, but this is pretty easy.
You know, one thing about the slickness here, not all coatings provide a heavy amount of slickness. Not all like coating maintenance products provide that either. And that's not a indicator of how good the product is. You know, some people just like slickness. You know, I'm one of those people too. But you just got to make sure you're not making the mistake of thinking if it's not slick, it's not good.
So with the coatings, you have all the different properties. And I think you guys were saying earlier, you don't get to have all the properties at once. You're giving and taking. You want longevity, you want slickness. It's all going to be a little bit different.
Exactly. It's like a sliding level. Whereas, you know, one area you increase here, it
you naturally have to take it from
pulls
somewhere else.
Down here. And that's why there's a bunch of different formulations, and figure out what you like.
Now, since we just cleaned this, are we still trying to start top and work our way down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, because water will continue to run downward. And here's a bunch of stuff underneath. Once again, that's where a blower would really help out. And I said the wheels in particular. You know, and at this point too, you can open up the hood, open up the trunk, open up the door, wipe the jams out, get as much of that standing water as you possibly can.
Lots of big vents on this car to get inside too.
Yep.
Put your whole hand in there.
And the other thing, like with mirrors in particular, that's when it's really good to have a blower, because you can still blow them out over and over and over again and come back 3 minutes later and you see some water dripping. It's like, where in the world is that water coming from? But that really helps. So, I mean, looking at the surface, we don't have any kind of spotting, any kind of issues going on. But if we did, now would be the time to take care of that before we put any kind of maintenance product, because coatings can get spotting just like anything else, depending on the conditions, depending on what's in the air, depending on what's going on with your water, especially if you don't have like a CR spotless system, you're going to run into that. But like, one of my favorite products for that on lighter stuff, the Kamikaze quick detailer, which in a video I've done on it, we talk about it's not the best name for it. It's not necessarily a quick detailer. It's a coating maintenance product that also has an element of water spot remover. So any real light spotting you may have on the car, you can go in, wipe it down with that. It's going to remove the water spots and it's going to leave protection behind. But we don't have to worry about that on this car because everything looks good.
Is that something similar to the esoteric maintenance spray?
Yes, it is. The big, both of them serve the same kind of purpose. The Kamikaze is a real strange one. I haven't seen any other products out there in the market that does what it does in having that element of the water spot remover built into it.
I will say, maintenance spray so far is my favorite product that we make. The smell is amazing, and it is the most satisfying finish. You will take it, spray it, and apply it, and it is the slickest finish.
Yeah, it's super easy to use, slick. And here's another one with that. When we were in development of it, like, let's try spraying on the surface while we're rinsing the car off.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we just took the pressure washer, as it was going on the surface, and put a few squirts right into the fan of water. So it goes across the surface, and then immediately you went from no beading to crazy beading on the car, and all you had to do was dry it when you were done, and it was super easy. Okay, we wanted to talk about our next process. Let's just assume for now, let's pretend
we're dried up,
that we're all dried up. We went in, got all the jams, got everything else, got all the wheels, the engine bay. Now we want to use our coating maintenance products. Coatings, it's the other mistake people make, is they think that they're bulletproof and you just put them on, you don't have to do anything to it. They have got to be maintained as well. The coating protects the finish. Your maintenance type product protects the coating. And this one, since we did it in Kamikaze Coatings, we'll use their overcoat liquid here. This can be used by itself, even if your car wasn't coated, to add a really long-lasting layer of protection. This is basically a light version of the coating that can be sprayed on, as opposed to the lengthy application process. Okay. So this will help keep the coating in good shape, and this becomes like a sacrificial layer. So if you get burr bombs or whatever else on it, it could damage this, but this protects the coating underneath. It'll help the coating stay looking good for longer. With this one, a little bit goes a long way, and it's literally get a little bit on the surface, buff it off. Let's see here, I gotta be smarter than the applicator. And I'm just putting a little bit onto the surface.
Like 3 or 4 sprays.
Yeah, you gotta be tricky with this sprayer because it'll just keep going.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go in, work it in small circular motions in a small area, flip the towel over and go back, immediately buff it off. You don't want to use too much. You'll know if you're using too much if you look and you've got some kind of streaking or smearing on the surface. That you've used way too much product. A lot of people think there's no way that little bit of product is going to make a difference. Well, it does. So I've got really just a couple of sprays for this entire panel here. And the key is going back over it with the dry side of the towel. I'll keep refolding this. So I'm not just using the same area all the time. And I can do this really on every surface here. You got the gloss surfaces, you got the satin surfaces, you have got the carbon fiber surfaces. You can even use on the glass if you want to. You can use on the wheels if you want to, although you'd be there for a long time trying to do that. So why don't you give it a try? And this one definitely does leave additional slickness to the finish. Where'd you stop? I did the whole quarter panel here.
I'll jump over to the side then.
So if you're gonna do that one, would be good. And this one, you know, with the durability that you get out of it, depending on how much you wash it, you can do this as little as, you know, once every couple months. Or if you're kind of sick in the head like me, you'll do it after every time you wash the car, just because there's something that feels good about reapplying a product like this.
I'm learning that.
And then the next thing, the first time you get in the rain and you're watching the water bead races on the hood, when you should be
visual feedback of the work you put in.
Yeah, and you should be watching the cars in front of you, but you end up watching the water bead races that are happening.
This also smells really good.
Yeah, or you go out when it's raining with an umbrella and just look at your car and ooh and ah, how the water
Zach
beading.
and Kurt just did that the other day. They were out comparing their 2 different coatings on their cars to see who was beating up better.
You know, you gotta, the real world is the only way to test this this kind of stuff. You know, we'll see videos out there, people putting different stuff on a panel and then just trying to hit it with a all-purpose cleaner or something as a way to test its durability. Well, unless those coatings were specifically designed to resist against that chemical, it's a completely invalid test. It doesn't mean anything. You got to get out in the real world. You got to run them. You got to be in the sun, the heat, the rain, the snow, the sleet, monitor over time how they do.
I am learning, you know, you have a weekend car show, you're a car guy, but not a detail guy. You get your car all shined up, you put all this work in on a Friday night, your car looks good for Saturday, and by the end of the day, stuff's gripping to it and stuff.
Yeah.
Now you can do it, and it's going to last for weeks and last much longer.
Yeah, and
very satisfying.
And the other thing there is the popular question, like my car sitting over here is a great example. Ask the question, how do you keep your car looking great between cleanings or between washings? And the answer that nobody wants to hear is you don't. It's gonna get dirty. There's no magical product that you can use and go wipe it down when it's all dusty and gritty and it's got all that stuff from the road all over it. You're gonna have problems doing that. I would rather have a scratch-free or swirl-free surface that's got some dirt on it than to have a surface that's super clean all the time, but it has swirls and stuff. So
Motorcycle Todd has evolved.
Yeah.
Truly clean and not scratched up stuff now.
Yep, exactly. So as you can see, super easy to use.
Absolutely.
You know, you can use on the glass, and that's usually a really good test right there for a product. If you test it on the glass, like if it's designed for the paint, and you test it on the glass, you know, do you see any streaking or smearing? If so, well, you're getting that on the paint too. A really good product, you'll be able to put it on and have a clean finish, just like the esoteric maintenance spray that you're talking about. You can put it on there, you get some protection with it.
Check that out. That looks great. There's nothing.
And one thing to remember, like with a product like this that has such a fine mist, you want to be careful when you're spraying it into your towel, because it's such a fine mist, it kind of vaporizes and goes all over the car.
Respraying into the car.
And then, you know, you have all these little spots and stuff all over it. So you're either, you know, against the wind, or you can spray it really close if there's any kind of windiness to it. That way it prevents it from going all over the place.
I'll be thinking of Bob Seger when I do that, against the wind. I gotta keep these references in my head.
Hey, whatever it takes.
I gotta remember this somehow.
Yeah, whatever it takes for you to learn.
Cue up a little Bob Seger.
Again, repeat that process all over the car. And once again, do you need to do this every time? No, you can. It's not going to hurt anything. You know, or if you only want to do it every couple of months or so, you're going to be fine doing it that way too. But just, you know, the key is take care of the coatings, wash them. If you get bird bombs on them, you know, you get bugs on it, you need to clean that stuff off quickly. Because if bird bombs and bugs, if it can eat through really hard paint, it's going to eat through anything else. It can eat through paint protection film. It can eat through, you know, whatever coatings.
And you don't know what that bird had for lunch.
You don't know. I've seen some where it's only been on the surface for a couple of hours, and it's etched in so far that even heavy wet sanding can't get rid of all of it. So if you think that you're going to put a couple of micron layer of coating on, it's going to completely protect it from that, you're going to be disappointed. Now there are some coating companies out there that want to tell you that bullets can fly off of it, or you set it on fire and it's perfectly good afterwards. But that's not the reality of coatings. You know, we've been working with coatings for 15 years here at Esoteric, so we've gotten to test a lot of stuff. We've gotten to play with a lot of stuff. We've gotten to put stuff on cars that we set outside, neglect them for 6 or 9 months and see what they do.
I may have provided you a car or two like that to
for our class. You had some stuff that sat out for years.
Oh yeah,
that we had to work on. Zach, I don't know. What do you think? Does it look like he's passed this whole deal, or do we need to bring it inside for a close visual inspection?
I think we should, for his sake, we should probably do it without him here, so we can really be honest.
Get the lights out.
Yeah. Well, good. I mean, it's that simple. Yeah, there's some processes you have to go through. You have to be really particular about some things, but you know, you don't have to drive a car this level to appreciate it and want to take care of your investment that you got in it.
Everything I've learned so far too is way less intimidating than the perception is. Yeah, you see a car like this and you're like, oh, I can't touch that, but they're all just cars. All these processes are simple. You break it down into steps and it's good to go.
Yeah. Well, awesome. that and you got guys like you and Kurt here to help people out when they call in or they write in looking for feedback, looking for recommendations, stuff on products. You
might not want to ask me quite yet. You'll give it a little more time.
We're getting there. We keep having these classes like this. You'll be good to go. With that, hopefully you enjoyed it. I know we went over a lot of information. It's a long, drawn out process, but use the processes, use the products that we talk about. They're well tested. You're going to get great results with it. And if you have any specific questions, let us know. Give us a call, send us an email. We'll walk you through whatever you need. As always, thanks, Jake. Todd, thanks for joining us here at Esoteric Car Care.